Good morning. Welcome to another installment of 11th grade history. We are going to jump right in. All right, try to save you guys as much time as possible. Get right into lecture for 22.3, chapter 22.3. There, we're on page 497. Hopefully, you guys are figuring out the schedule. I know it's a little bit of jumbling, a little messing around. Hopefully, you got it figured out, though. Hopefully, you're able to be ready to go and get into this routine here. But yesterday, if you remember, we talked about, we got into World War II. Specifically, we got into America jumping into World War II. We spoke about Pearl Harbor, of course, right? The day that will live in infamy. Remember the date? Yes, 1941, December 7th, 1941. We also got into a little bit about the attack itself. We talked about, let's see, what else did we get here? We talked about the Philippines and who was in charge of the Far East for American troops. Yes, Douglas MacArthur. Good, 2 for 2. Excellent. And then also talked about just America jumping in. Talked about the Philippines falling to the Japanese, that Bataan Peninsula. Hopefully you did check out the PowerPoints. I'm going to drop those in. Like I said, drop those in and have those for you. You can look right through them, just like I do. You can feel like a teacher there, just cycling through all those PowerPoints if you want to. And then we got into the Battle of Midway. Battle of Midway, we called that the turning point for the war in the Pacific. We talked about Chester Nimitz, got the victory at the Battle of Coral Sea there. And also talked about the Nisei, or the Nisei troops, which were Japanese Americans. They were second generation Japanese Americans. Where their parents were Japanese, they came to America one way or another. And then when they had their children, they were as American can be. But yet, we talk about that internment, right? That executive order 9066, and Roosevelt's executive order 9066, putting those people in internment. Then we talk about the home front, the War Production Board. We talk about rationing there and those terms. We talk about how that everyone got behind the war. And I think I got cut off a little bit early yesterday. But I was talking about gold stars and blue stars. So I talked about yesterday when a wife, when a woman, whatever it was, a mother had a child off to war, they held a blue star in their window. Or sometimes they had a blue ribbon maybe hanging from their front porch or something like that. Well, if the soldier died, they would change that from blue star to a gold star. And you would have gold star mothers, or if a husband died or a father died, you have gold star families. And you maybe have even heard that today, recently. Gold star families, that you might still have heard that term before. But where you get that term from is when a child, or a man or woman, dies in battle, and their family hangs a gold star for the ultimate sacrifice that they gave. But let's just jump in a little bit to the actual World War II itself there, page 497. Of course, Hitler, right? Hitler has control by either conquest or compromise. He has control of the entire European continent. And it is looking very bleak. It is looking very dark, right? The only bastion left of freedom was Britain, and Britain was getting hammered by Hitler's war machine. We did talk about, though, how just when America was about to jump in, there was Operation Barbarossa, which was the surprise invasion by Hitler to invade Russia. Even though, remember, they signed that Nazi-Soviet non-aggression pact, he goes back on his word, surprise, and decides to attack the Russians. Well, while that is going on as well, there's also some work going on in North Africa. And that was some of the first fighting that we as Americans saw there was down in North Africa. A couple guys to note. First off, Erwin Rommel. Erwin Rommel there was a German commander, tank commander actually, called the Desert Fox. He was commander of some Panzers. That's what the German tanks were called. Skilled, very, very skilled. Could never be caught, really could never be captured. He was able to very quickly and very easily evade capture, very effective as well. And the British sent a guy by the name of Bernard Montgomery to go and take down Rommel. At least that was the plan. So Bernard Montgomery, he was British. He's going to go capture Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox, the German Desert Fox there. Well, this campaign of Bernard Montgomery going to try to find the Desert Fox was where we first saw some action in America. And it was underneath Operation Torch, November 8th, 1942. Operation Torch. And the guy that was in charge on the American side was a guy by the name of Dwight D. Eisenhower. And Eisenhower was tasked with going and basically trying to take some fortifications in Africa, while Montgomery was fighting with Rommel. Operation Torch was supposed to be able to reclaim land at the same time. So Eisenhower, he sent there. He's got 850 ships. He lands troops on African coast there. Algiers was a big one there. Casablanca, Oran. If you ever played any, Call of Duty with World War II stuff, you'll play in Algiers in some way or another. You also play in some way or another in Tunisia, Africa, and that's exactly where it was there. So they were going on through there, and after North Africa, because if you remember, right, you get your mental map going. You've got Germany, and then just below Germany is below Germany is Italy. And Italy is also part of the Axis powers. Well, the Allies, when they were looking at where to attack, obviously they cannot go and just attack the German lines. Germans, they've got it going on. They've got their defenses. They have their structure in place. But they believed, the Allies, that Italy was the weakest link of the three biggies, right? Japan, Germany, and Italy. They called it the soft underbelly, if you will. And so they believed that if they could take through or go through Italy, that would be the easiest, the path of least resistance. So after North Africa, America and the Germans, America and the British were able to expel the Germans. Could never capture Rommel, but they were able to expel the Germans from North Africa. And now they're going to turn their attention to Italy. So they're going to go to Italy, and in Italy, they're going to put up what's called Operation Husky. Operation Husky was the invasion of Sicily. And Sicily is, if you picture Italy right now on the map, the Italian boot, right, the soccer boot, if you will, that little ball, if you will, that's being kicked by Italy, that is the island of Sicily. And so what they were going to do is, if this is the island of Sicily, up here is Italy, they were going to land on Sicily, and then they were going to march up the peninsula there of Italy, Italian peninsula. So Operation Husky was the name there. And Operation Husky, it's a successful invasion and attack. It was heavy losses. The Italians put up quite the fight, but they did eventually expel both the Germans and the Italians off of the island of Sicily. Then they're able to push up through Italy, and they actually go into Rome, Italy, right, the capital city, on June 4th, 1944. Which, if you know anything about the time period of 1944, just 2 days before the famed D-Day invasion. So it's actually, about the same time as another big invasion. But as I mentioned before, so they go through and they take Rome, right? It's centrally located in Italy, that Italian boot, and they're going to continue marching north, take Italy completely. And Italy eventually, by the end of the war, actually turns sides and flips to the Allies. That's kind of weird for the Italians to do, but whatever. And so that was in the south. That was down in Italy, the boot. So you have, at the same time here, as I mentioned before, as this is going on in Italy, you have a invasion plan that's going to take place on the coast of France. Right now, Germany occupies all of France. Right? We talked about the miracle at Dunkirk, right? How there was some 300,000 BEF troops, British Expeditionary Force troops, and French coalition troops as well. They were able to be ferried off the coastline there before it was too late. And so now the Allies have to turn around and they have to counterattack. They're going to make a offensive, if you will. And so they plan on, or they have to try to figure out where's the best place. Where can we establish a beachhead? Where is a easier place to be able to take it, maybe. And so what they started looking up and down the coastline and started figuring out where they could go. And they set their sights on a broad beach called Normandy. That was the name of it. And they're going to have an amphibious landing on it there. And so they get the plans together, and they're going to leave from Britain, cross the English Channel. It was a very short trip, if you will, and they're going to hit it with everything they got. Hit it hard. Land, sea, air. We're going to just boom as much as we possibly can. and they were scheduled for I believe it was June 1st or June 2nd, and they were going to do that because they were waiting basically. Well, they were going to do it then because that's when they had their troops, but the day came when they were going to actually jump in, and the weather was terrible. It was a heavy, dense fog. There was choppy waters, and they couldn't. There's no way, because you have to hit landing craft on the beach, and it would be choppy. It would be very messy, very difficult to be able to do. So they have to postpone. And they push it back to June the 6th. June the 6th, 1944. Interesting side note, by